All right, man.
Tonight on Country Squire Radio, it's a pipe culture, pipe archetypes, talking about not the aristocrats, ladies and gentlemen, aristocrats, as well as farmers who smoke a pipe.
Can we talk about Aristocrats?
Well, I mean, it's a great show,
it
but
might happen. It might slip in there.
I'm pretty sure there's no pipe smoking, although I could go back. That was during the Disney era where there wasn't a lot of pipe smoking in films, so it's very well possibly in there. But no, not those cats, the crats, the aristocrats, as well as the pipe smoking farmer, plus a pipe question of the week all about burley and flavoring various of tobaccos, plus quick fire questions, listener feedback, and more happening right now on Country Squire Radio. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD!
Hey, Beau. Good evening, man.
Hey, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, dude. I'm doing well. It's it's been an interesting couple weeks, just I feel like every day brings a new curveball, but we're doing good.
Yeah, man.
We're doing all right.
Dude,
yeah.
I gotta tell you.
Every time I get up off the mat and we just get back after it. So it's good. I will be very honest. My pipe has been ministering to my heart over the past few days, and I use all
Did you
those
have more pipes explode? Not pipe, but
right. I know, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about pipes exploding in me, that's like inventory.
Exactly.
No, man, it's just I use all those words intentionally. It's just been very my pipe ritual in the morning has just been such a head clearing kind of time of day when I getting some reading and some meditation. Have my pipe. Recently, it's been a lot of Christmas cheer from this past year.
Oh, yeah.
And man, just I don't know. There's something about that's just gotten my head clear in the morning and got me straight for the day. And whether it's difficult or rather easy, we're just ready for it, man. We're ready, and it feels good.
Got your Christmas cheer in the morning, your boodles in the evening. You're doing all right.
And depression tonight, yeah. but there's enough Christmas cheer to make up for it.
That's right.
Yeah,
no,
we are.
We're brought to you by Boodles.
We are
Gin
brought to you by Boodles Gin tonight.
episode.
And if you're from Boodles Gin, we'd love to chat with you.
Yeah, we would absolutely love to chat with you. Although they're like, why would we want to chat with you? You give us so much free advertising. But no, man, look, we got a great show tonight. Now, of course, there are some disappointments that did happen over this past week. Of course, Country Squire Radio, very honored to be nominated for Jackson's best local podcast. However, Country Squire Radio did not win.
You weren't sad about that at all.
I didn't say I was sad about it. I was saying that as a
it
show.
just didn't happen.
Well, because of course, Let's Talk Jackson, another one of my podcasts, did win.
No, that's right.
So
that's right.
Thank you to everybody who voted for Let's Talk.
We also were nominated for best locally owned business.
Did you really? Oh.
And we lost to our friends at Sneaky Beans, who is of course a coffee shop with as much traffic as we have and as many loyal local followers as we have here in Jackson. I mean, we're just not a coffee shop.
No, but I mean, think about it.
There's a lot of people going in and out of a coffee shop.
There's only about like 4 businesses that are actually nominated for like a pipe tobacco shop to be nominated for like best shop in Jackson.
I've just said we need our own category.
Yeah, no, I think
we need our own
bad
category.
idea. Because I mean, there actually are
best tobacconist.
You know what? Did you? I got pulled.
They're against it because they're a bunch of hipsters.
I know. I got pulled, man. We can make that happen.
Trust me, I've barked up that. I've barked up that tree.
Fair enough. Well, one way or the other, man. Yeah. So Country Square Radio did not win, but I did bring it home for best local.
That's
podcast.
good, man. Congratulations. Seriously, we're so proud of what you do, man. And obviously, Country Squire Radio wouldn't happen without you. And man, you just put together a really good product.
I was nervous I appreciate that, but I was nervous last year when we got nominated. I was nervous this year because I was like, it's just like it would be like cheating. Because I mean, we could activate the audience to be like, hey, let's get out the vote. But I feel like we'd be cheating because all of a sudden they'd be inundated with like Indonesia and London and Grand Rapids and Austin and LA.
That's
and
great. That's great.
How is these votes count for best of Jackson?
Yeah. I know that would be a little underhanded.
It would not be right. Well, hey man, there is a lot of great stuff that's going on in the pipe community. We got the Riley Pipe Expo coming up pretty soon here in April the 6th. It's going to be from 5 to 9 at the Ramba Inn. And that's going, of course, on Blue Ridge Road. Tell us a little bit about this particular expo.
So that's actually the reception party. It's in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so the reception is on April 6th from 5 to 9 at the Ramada on Blue Ridge Road there in Raleigh. And then we've got the actual Pipe Expo, the Pipe and Tobacco Expo, is going to be on Saturday, April 7th,
Gotcha.
and that's from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So if you're in that North Carolina area, if you've got a day's drive, man, I know this is going to be worth it for you. The Pipe and Tobacco Expo. There in Raleigh at the North Carolina State Fairgrounds, and on the fairgrounds, it's going to be in the Holzhauser building, and you'll just follow the signs to get there. But anyway, the tables are still available, and if you have any questions, you can actually email steve@gocsouth.com, and then he'll be glad to take care of you. But anyway, really excited about that. Glad to mention them tonight. Also, of course, our Texas Pipe Show, October 6th, which is exciting. And that's of course they just announced that a couple weeks ago. More details will be coming forth about that really soon. So
Awesome, man.
yeah, couple other things that I feel like we have to mention tonight, and I guess this is a good time to do it.
Good time to do it.
If there are not any other announcements. So we had recently our pipe club kind of silent auction, I guess.
Yeah, for the custom cob
for the custom
competition.
cob competition. It was just great, and people have clamored already. They said, "Man, next year I'm getting in that thing." And we're so excited about that. Of course, that was sponsored by our friends at Missouri Meerschaum, and we were able to support the Ronald McDonald House, and it was really great. One of our dear listeners, Brady Muckleroy, he's from Texas, and he had kind of missed a few episodes there, and so hadn't caught up on Country Squire Radio, and he caught up after the silent auction had happened, and he called me and he said, "Hey, look, I'm glad y'all were able to raise that money for the Ronald McDonald House, but man, I just think we need to raise a little more." And so man, he was so kind enough and actually sent in $300 extra.
Oh man,
for the Ronald McDonald House, man. So we were just really stunned and pleased by that. Brady, we're so thankful for you, brother, and that obviously is going to go for a great cause.
Man,
so,
thank you so much, Brady.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Incredibly kind. Yeah, we were just so happy about that. So we had a good showing for our friends there, and just know those custom cobs aren't just for laughs and giggles and smokes
and good quality smokes
and mantle displays or anything. They're they're for a good cause,
raising some funds.
Yeah.
I will say this for those that are kind of like looking like, okay, next year I'm getting in on this. Don't look, you get into the custom cob game, have some fun with it. But it may be a different holiday this year.
It might be.
It might be.
It may be.
More information as we get closer into the holiday season, which is way down the line.
That's right. That's right.
Well, with the other great shout out to local pipe smokers as well, right?
Okay, so this is just downright amazing. As you know, at the Country Squire, we have a wall of honor. And the wall of honor, of course, if you were
not to be confused with the wall of shame.
What wall of shame? We should actually have that.
Well,
we probably. I don't know. The hurricane would be number one.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. But anyway, we have a wall of honor, and what's awesome. We've opened the wall of honor up to Country Squire Radio Club members, which we have several that actually your plaques came in today. I've got to put them up on the.
Oh, I got to see them
on the wall here later. But anyway, just really exciting. But anyway, Peter Massey is a very different of ours. He's a local Country Squire patron and friend of the show and all this. And you may remember about a year ago or so, we did just a little spotlight on him because he made his 50th punch card. He actually completed his 50th punch card.
Now, what are these punch cards?
So when you do your punch card at the Squire, this is our loyalty club, right? And so each punch card represents about 12 it's got 12 punches on it, and each one is 2 ounces of tobacco. Okay, so I mean, it's just it's a big deal, and when you get to your 10th one and you finish it, then you get it on the wall of honor, and it's this thing we do to recognize people that have just supported the shop to the point where we wouldn't be here without you, kind of thing. Peter's a dear friend, and pipe smoking and cigars are his passion. He's one of these people that he's
like always up here.
He's a working man. He's one of these guys that really earns his living and works really hard. And premium tobacco is just a part of his way to not just escape, but enjoy
like daddy's reward.
Enjoy his downtime, the precious little downtime that he's got. That's how he spends it. And man, so Peter, You may remember he finished his 50th punch card about a year ago. We talked about him. Or it was a little over a year ago. I can't remember. But anyway, back in September, we may have mentioned this, but Peter finished his 100th punch card.
What?
And we have this beautiful plaque in honor of him now that hangs at the Country Squire. It's got his 100th punch card, a picture of him with Caleb the intern right here, shaking hands,
autograph on there too.
And yeah, a little brass plaque. But I just want to talk about just briefly what this represents. Okay, 100 punch cards at the Country Squire. This is 100 loyalty Squires cards. It represents 2,400 ounces of tobacco. Okay, that's 150 pounds of tobacco.
That's a lot of tobacco.
Or it can represent 1,200 $10 cigars.
Dang, that's a lot of sticks.
So I mean, you think about, I bought 1,200 $10 cigars.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can also count it, if you just do it in pipe bowls, you can do it in 22,400 bowls of pipe tobacco. And that's at 3 grams each, which is a medium-sized bowl full. So basically, it took Peter 3 years and 2 months to get to this, and it was the equivalent of smoking 2 ounces a day.
Dang.
Which he didn't do. He's got a lot cellared, obviously.
Right.
And Peter's also a trader, so he'll meet someone and be like, "Hey, I like that pipe. How about we swap this for that?" Kind of thing. And so this is kind of a commodity for him. He loves it. But anyway, what I love about this is at least what this represents is at least one $10 cigar for every day for 1,155 days straight.
Dang. I mean, that's some commitment right
Isn't
there.
that fantastic?
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to recognize, like, this happened back in September of last year, and it was just a couple of weeks before I got engaged.
First to 100.
And man, it was just such a busy season, with the holidays coming up, and I never got around to truly honoring Peter for what he's done for our shop. And anyway, we do this in honor of him. We Peter, if you're listening, we literally wouldn't be here and wouldn't have the ability to do what we do without you. And we're just so thankful, brother. So anyway, wanted to mention that on tonight's show.
Man, that's awesome. Hey, we want to mention also some other folks that we wouldn't be here without, and that's the good folks who make this show happen over at the International Country Squire Radio Pipe Club.
That is exactly right.
And we got to give a shout out. We got a new member at the Pilgrim later, ladies and gentlemen. At the Pilgrim level, rather.
Yeah.
Stephen Berger.
Man, Stephen, welcome aboard, dude.
Welcome aboard.
That's great.
Burger.
Yeah.
But some hamburger and some fries.
He got, like, he probably already unsubscribed because he got picked on about that when he was a kid.
Well, but I guess maybe this could have been his chance, right? Like maybe Beau will mispronounce it and call it anything other than burger.
Right. No, that's right.
Yeah, I could try. Right. Beer gear.
The reason we love Steven is because his name is so simple that there was really
burger.
There was really no way for you to mess it up. It was great.
No, you can't mess it up. You put it on the grill, you flip it over, like, it's a burger.
That's it.
It's Stephen Berger.
Stephen, man, thank you so much, brother. We're so grateful to you for sponsoring Country Squire Radio. Again, Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club, available on Patreon. We have members at the Squire level, Pilgrim level. And if you don't want to join the club but do want to support the show just on a weekly basis, we also just have a patron option as well. But anyway, we're so thankful for everything that you guys do to make the show possible. We literally wouldn't be here without you,
man. All right, so this is great because, of course, this is a pipe culture episode, and for those that have never tuned in for a pipe culture episode, here's kind of the idea behind this series. It's something that we've been doing for a couple of years now, and basically it's an opportunity to study the culture that surrounds the pipe. A lot of you can think of this almost as kind of like a sociological look into the various pipe communities around the country and around the world that permeate both through the real world that we live in, as well as the fictional world and kind of the lore that surrounds the pipe as well. This is not something that when we dive into pipe culture topics, it's not necessarily something that John, David, and I are giving our opinions on. In fact, quite the contrary. Our goal with this is to open up so that you guys get a chance to give your opinions on it. And so this is kind of an Inception-esque pipe culture, because this is almost a series within a series, right?
Yeah.
a couple of episodes back in the pipe culture series, we began the pipe smoking archetypes. We kind of looked at who these archetypical pipe smokers are. When you think of a pipe smoker, what is this person? It's the wizard, it's the professor, it's the it's the engineer. All of these different archetypes that you might think of when smoking a pipe. And so we've been doing spotlights on different archetypes throughout this series. And today we are looking at two archetypes: the farmer and the aristocrat. Dadgummit.
You were so close. You were so close.
And just I'll go,
fantastic.
I might go back and forth between saying aristocats and aristocrat tonight, so y'all just give me a little bit of grace.
Is Disney is sponsoring tonight's show?
No, Disney is certainly not. No, I'm sure. I will say that Walt Disney probably would have no problem with sponsoring the show.
But the modern people associated with, right?
Probably not so much.
Except for Brian Levine, he would be very.
Brian Levine, yeah, he does not. He doesn't sponsor the show, but I like to think that he kind of does somewhere
in spirit. Yeah, he supports his favorite hobbits.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Well, hey man, okay, so this is great. We're talking about the aristocrat and the farmer now. To kind of dive into this and kind of maybe a little set up a little bit of framework for this. The mindset going in was that, if you think about not just this, kind of aristocrat and farmer, but kind of the rich man, poor man, the white collar, blue collar, as kind of these two different embodiments of pipe smokers.
Yeah, sure.
Now, one thing that's important to point out before we dive into this is that to be a farmer does not necessarily mean that you're not an aristocrat. And to be an aristocrat doesn't mean that you're not necessarily a farmer.
Actually, in a lot of ways, that it can be thought of as the opposite. I mean, particularly in the classical world, you think about the founding of our country, right? Like, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, these were farmers. These were farmers. They were plantation owners, and they, obviously were extremely wealthy and in their own right were aristocrats. So I don't know. We kind of have this convoluted thing in our mind, but it can be seen both ways.
Yeah, very true. But even in the modern era, man, like there's the farming community, and we'll kind of get into this as we dive into some of the emails and thoughts that have been brought in. But the farming community may be small compared to where it was before, but at the same time, there are definitely those that have been doing quite well within that industry. So actually, we've got Supra Mario from the Reddit community at R Pipe Tobacco. On Reddit. He says, I'm in between both. He says, I got money to blow on pounds of tobacco and all the pipes that I want, but I don't necessarily blow that money on the pipes and tobacco.
Yeah.
He says, I own a farm, but I'm also a pencil pusher by day. So not poor, not super rich, but I own a farm and work in an office as well. So you're kind of the embodiment of aspects of both of those archetypes.
Sure.
So as we kind of dive into the differences, I do think it's important to point out that there can be overlap, and there certainly has been both through history and in the modern era.
Absolutely, sure.
All right, so that being said, there is also clear contrast as well. In fact, this first one we've got from Lefroigan Slip. And this is again from the Reddit community at r/pipe tobacco. What did Lefroig have to say?
Are we doing the whole thing?
Whole thing. Yeah,
all right. He says the archetypes in my mind are this: one smokes a smooth red stain or black painted briar, and the other smokes a humble cob. The briar has a brass or silver ash guard, while the cob is unfinished and uneven at the top. The briar is either a Dublin or a billiard. This is really descriptive.
Oh, yeah,
the cob looks something or somewhere between the style of a Missouri Meerschaum Mark Twain or the General. That is the American farmer. The Western European farmer would have more of a local pipe made of briar, a small pipe with a brown stain. Further east, you might imagine someone farming in the hills of Greece with a simple bent meerschaum, enjoying some latakia with a bottle of ouzo. Ooh. Ouzo. Further east still, I envision a Chinese farmer coming home in the evening. He sits down with his bamboo pipe, a durable piece that can last a lifetime. Even be passed on generationally like a briar, while having similar markings to the well-worn corncob pipe, familiar with being handled by dirty hands. It has the markings of earnest and frequent use. The central idea of all this being that the farmer has his pipe from a more local and practical place, whereas the aristocratic person has the luxury of smoking something from maybe another continent. The aristocrat has the clean, smooth pipe one in a rotation, while the farmer's pipes each see daily use. And that's from our friends on the Reddit pipe board, Lafroigian Slip.
Freudian slip.
Great,
Love
great,
that name, by
great
the way.
name. Yeah, I think that's interesting. You know, you think about something that is a very functional, useful tool, which obviously, if you're a working man, and when we say that with broad generalizations, right? Working man out in the field, kind of thing. Your pipe is going to be a tool for you to use every day. You're going to be going in and out of the land with it as you're going through your daily tasks. And maybe if you're someone that lives in the city or has a more white collar job, you might be just curled up on the sofa at nighttime reading reading Shakespeare or John Donne, while you're sipping your brandy, trying to make your kids go to sleep. And that is your experience of smoking your pipe.
Who
And
is
so
that?
I
No, who is that?
no,
Come on.
I don't know. I mean,
Curled up on your sofa, sipping your brandy, reading your Shakespeare while trying to make your kids go to sleep.
I think there's a person out there.
No, that's why Nanny is trying to make the children go
I-
to sleep.
yeah.
That's why. Pillowed up, reading my Shakespeare. And yes, Reginald, would you pack my pipe for me one more time? Bring me that white rose. That's the highest quality tobacco. Yes. None of that.
You put that Lancaster down.
That Lancaster.
You knave.
Just throw it out. Throw it out.
That's great. So I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of good wisdom in that. I love that Lafroigian Slip on Reddit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I love about this too is that aside from the fact that it's such a descriptive, idea of kind of the various pipes that you actually see in use by these, or that you can envision being used by these different archetypes, is just as you say. There is also something about kind of if you think about the kind of somebody who works with their hands is going to get dirty. A pipe like a corn cob, it makes a lot of sense, right? A pipe that's going to be
It's a workhorse, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or along the kind of the route, as opposed to the something like a dress pipe, something that you think of
We have talked, something more, for special occasions, or is pulled out very delicately, and then rotated through a giant selection of pipes. I see this every day, right? We've got our customers that come in and they have one of our house pipes, and they literally smoke it 4 times a day.
Wow.
I mean, they work these pipes. They're meant to be worked. It's a tool. And then you've got the guys that come in and they select their tin of Dunhill that they'll go through in the next 3 months, and they'll rotate through their favorite Briarworks pipes, Savinelli, Peterson, and maybe some Stanwells or something, and they'll come back to that pipe eventually, but it's more of a hobbyist kind of thing, and maybe those two play hand in hand.
There might be something there. Now let me ask you this, John David: are you familiar with the movie Evil Under the Sun?
Of course not.
Okay, see. Well, good. I get to educate you, but just be forewarned. This next one contains spoilers for that film.
Okay, I'll get over it.
This actually comes in from Dylan Schellender. Thank you, Dylan, by the way, for actually putting the phonetic spelling of your name in there.
I even think you still messed it up.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Linder.
Schlinder.
Did I do it wrong?
You got it right that time.
Here's what Dylan says. He says, when I think about the aristocrat, the rich types, I'm reminded of a neat movie called Evil Under the Sun. And by the way, this again is spoilers for that film. He says the normalcy of seeing a well-to-do man with a pipe allowed the villain to hide a key piece of evidence that in fact there was a diamond in his pipe the entire movie.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Now I actually want to watch that movie.
That's
awesome.
Interesting too that the villain would kind of be seen as the pipe. We've talked about it before, but a lot of times the pipe is often more associated with a heroic or kind of a guidance type of character, as opposed to the villainous character who, if smoking, it's generally a cigarette or a cigar.
No, that's right.
So kind of an interesting twist here.
Yeah.
This next one comes in from
Broskheim.
Yeah. This one's actually from the R pipe tobacco community over on Reddit. It says the aristocrat is more like the types that you see on these kinds of forums. Smokes a multitude of blends from a multitude of pipes, probably once or at most twice a day, and probably pairs it with a beverage of some sort. Takes time out of their day to specifically enjoy the pipe because they've got the leisurely ability to do so.
Yeah, I think there's just we're talking about our kind of archetype, the aristocrat, but this is getting into more of just kind of the daily modern connoisseur and enthusiast of pipe tobacco, right? You've got someone that they're not necessarily smoking for any kind of fix or anything. It's someone that is looking for that pleasant evening, or break time. Just a little treat, maybe to pair with their favorite, cup of coffee or bourbon. They're smoking certain types of tobacco at certain types of day, depending on the circumstance. I think that's kind of what he's speaking to.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Also, we had Brad Hochter. I think it also goes by Love Doctor from time to
he
time.
does. He does.
What did Brad have to say?
Yeah. Brad says, to me, a white collar or aristocratic pipe smoker is a bit more picky, typically having artisan carved pipes and a wide variety of tinned blends in their cellar. Whereas the blue collar pipe smoker is a farmer or farmer is perfectly content with a good old cob and a low end factory pipe and a pouch of Captain Black. And I think he's onto something here. I envision a few of my customers that that fit into those categories, and then a few customers actually that straddle the two, which is kind of fascinating too. And to unpack that, you've got these folks that the pipe serves for them a functional daily thing. It's not just a morning ritual, but it's a throughout the day, a volume kind of thing. But then also they treat themselves occasionally with, oh well, it's my time of the year to maybe enjoy a tin of old dark fired from Mac or Peterson's Irish whiskey or something like
Hmm,
that.
mhm.
So I think you've got this this kind of balance there. But yeah, Brad, I think that's a good observation.
It's interesting, and I was kind of wondering if this would be the case, gathering kind of feedback and thoughts around this particular archetype. But you do almost kind of hear more of, negative words associated with the aristocrat. Like, for example, picky versus content, right? Like even with what
Yeah.
Brad points out here. So the aristocrat is picky, the farmer's more content. Dylan even like, put the nail directly on the head with like, oh, here's a pipe smoking villain. That kind of fits the
Which,
aristocrat.
I can kind of see that. There's a part of me that even though a lot of times that is me, I'm that person that is looking for, oh, I just feel like smoking I don't want red Virginias today. I
That's
want
that elitism,
I
right?
want lemon Virginias that
Yeah.
have a sugar topping.
Right.
It's one of those things that I enjoy that sometimes. I enjoy the snobbery of it, but the difference is we try to not be judgmental about it. We just try to enjoy it and move on about our lives. But yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. But and then there's the just the normal guy that just he comes in once every 2 weeks and buys his half pound of Cherokee at the Country Squire or Lane 1Q or whatever it might be, and just goes on about his day because he knows that is the tobacco that fits him the best.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
yeah,
You
I
know,
think that's great.
I do. I mean, there's also kind of the aspect of the framing of it, right? So the aristocrat, you think of kind of, that ballroom esque wearing the tuxedo, smoking his you know, sh- uh, Prince pipe or something of that nature, something that's going to be more of the dress pipe type, and just kind of lording it over with a little bit of a brandy. But at the same time, that could just as well be like, a doctor, and you think about like the
Sure.
kindly old doctor in his office enjoying a pipe after a long day. And that's technically, theoretically, the same person, just fitting different archetypes based on environment, right?
I think so.
I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think again, all these are generalities, but we've
Oh
got
yeah.
folks that they fit by proxy, right? Yeah.
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 All right, cool. All right, so that's the aristocrat. Now we got a ton of thoughts surrounding the farmer. Darren writes in. He says, "When I think of a farmer who smokes a pipe, I think of Charles Ingalls from the Little House on the Prairie. He would often enjoy his pipe in the evening after supper at the kitchen table or outside leaning on the fence rail. Charles was a hardworking farmer who enjoyed his pipe. Nothing better than a cool smoke to help wind down after a hard day's work. Really enjoy the show." And I think he means our show, but he could also mean Little House on the Prairie.
Darren, our resident Little House on the Prairie enthusiast.
Yeah, that's what, that's the next thing. I do some TV talk from time to time, so maybe we'll do Little House on the Prairie TV
I
talk.
don't know. You might have a future in that.
Was that the one where the girl she was like blind or something like that? Or is that a different show?
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, okay, never mind. But anyway, all right. So did you never watch Little House on the Prairie?
I have not.
I'm aware of a house.
I think I remember it becoming like coming on right around MacGyver, somewhere around there, reruns of like MacGyver,
Yeah.
or you know, the A Team or something. But these are shows that you know, I watched at my grandmother's house on rerun in between nap times.
Interesting.
Right.
All right. So I will say this though, in a very kind of flip in terms of tone to Little House on the Prairie. I was actually watching. I'm taking my wife through Westworld, and we were actually watching that episode, and I don't want to spoil anything on that show in particular, but suffice to say, one of the characters who portrays a farmer is replaced, and by the end of the episode, a new character is playing that exact same character. It's kind of trippy. You have to kind of understand.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of one of those things hard to explain without giving
Without
away.
seeing it, yeah.
Yeah, but suffice to say, at the very end of it, this character, this new farmer, is actually sitting in a rocking chair smoking a pipe, and just has a very different attitude from the
Yeah.
character that came before. And
Yeah.
it was very much more of that kind of down to earth type of farmer type character, and always fun to see the pipe in TV. All right, Corey Gripe is next, and what did Corey have to say?
He says, I would like to contribute to the farmer side. There are pictures of my grandfather, who was born in 1927.
He actually posted these to Facebook, I should mention.
Oh, dude, that's great. That's great. There are two pictures of him as a kid, and one with my grandmother from 1953. And no, we do not have the pipe still. Unfortunately, the pictures were taken at their 80-acre farm,
Achy breaky
heart farm in Oklahoma. And so yeah, Corey was kind enough to post those photos to Facebook. We love those old photos of folks, beloved ones, smoking their pipes with their pipes, you know, back from the day. I just I love that.
Man, you know, speaking of you know, kind of family and that familiar understanding of what a farmer's life can be, this one takes it even closer to home with John Kirk Griffin, who I believe is also tuning in live tonight.
Yeah.
Says, "Hey brothers, longtime listener. I'm so excited for this specific episode because, well, I'm a farmer. There's something beautiful and primal about sitting on a tractor with a pipe packed with your favorite blend. It's these hours of driving in slow circles that are prime moments for smoking a pipe. Farmers are very contemplative people. We spend many hours doing repetitive and sometimes monotonous work, which gives us ample time to think. It's during these times of deep contemplation that farmers turn to our pipes as our faithful companion. The farmer is a dying breed. We've gone from almost 90% farm workers to less than 1% in the U.S. We are frequently forgotten and sometimes marginalized folk, but we are a tough and resilient folk. And so next time you pack a pipe, remember the farmer that worked hard to grow and harvest those beautiful and tasty leaves. Love you guys. Love the show. Keep up the great work." And again, that is from Farmer John K. Griffin.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah,
Farmer John!
dude. Thanks so much. Yeah, that's fantastic. You know, it's not just like, oh, the food that we eat that sustains us comes from these kind of people. Oh, wait, it's the tobacco, and we wouldn't be here without them.
That's right.
On a variety of levels. So, man, great feedback. It's funny. He earlier in the show said he's not going. He was talking. I'm not going to lie, a little salty that the aristocrat and the farmer is equal to the rich guy and the poor guy. To y'all, y'all must not know many farmers. Most of the farmers around here, me excluded, are millionaires. But then he goes on to say we handled it well. So
Yeah,
that's good.
Man, we also got one from Randall Morgan. And what did Randall have to say?
Yeah. When I think of the archetype of the farmer, I'm reminded of my grandfather, a true Mississippian, born and raised outside a small town no one would recognize. We might recognize it, actually.
Yeah. You might be surprised. We know some Mississippi. We know those backwater coffee.
We know some of those. Yeah.
We killed a guy here in Mississippi.
I know, right? All that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's kind of, yeah. We're familiar with some of those back roads.
Mm-hmm.
A man that worked, he goes on, a man that worked as a millwright every day of his life, of his adult life, because that's what he had. And I think he loved to do. Farming was something that he didn't do for income, but for survival, to make ends meet. Planting his own fruits and vegetables, raising chickens, and even hunting during the fall and winter, all to provide for his family. These were people that are meeting their needs, not just because it's what they're good at, it's because they literally what they had to do.
That's
right.
Yeah.
So he goes on to say, this man is someone who loves a good full the pipe of tobacco. I'm guessing cherry. He didn't everyone in the 60s smoke cherry tobacco? The farmer archetype is that of someone who isn't even afraid to get his or her hands dirty. someone who works hard every day to provide in time of plenty and in lean. But the pipe is his one guilty pleasure, the one thing he provides himself, something just for him. And that's from our friend Randall Morgan. Yeah, I think well said. It's like they've afforded themselves this one luxury, right? They're working their tail off to go out there, and you've got this image of the sharecropper that's just trying to get it done so they can get food on the table, maybe even for this evening. And but they've given themselves this one thing to get through the day, and it might be their pipe with their favorite cherry blend.
Man, it's great because we got so many more responses
I
to
wish we could go through them all. This was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
we got something for the farmers specifically. And I do feel like there is kind of that when kind of stacked up against the other, you almost kind of long to attach your narrative to the farmer and maybe kind of want to step back from the aristocrat because of some of the negative connotations.
Yeah.
Now, that being said,
We say that as I'm sitting here smoking my hand carved meerschaum,
right,
right,
well,
drinking my boodles with my pinky out.
I was also going to say that a very aristocratic pipe smoker is being tweeted out right now by Kevin Pinkerto on Twitter, which is of course Deadpool, the superhero, anti-hero rather, Deadpool, smoking his pipe, sitting in a leather chair with a big thing of brandy right next to him. So yeah, there you go. Well, man, no, here's the thing. There are some differences. There are some similarities. But just kind of as kind of in kind of context with both between these two, the aristocrat and the farmer, Dylan also had this to send in. He said the larger context of quote unquote rich versus poor.
Sure.
He says I recommend reading this article by John Goldberg. It's called "The Democracy in the Tobacconists." And it's really about cigars, but I feel there is a lot of themes that will overlap. The G.K. Chesterton quote in particular addresses why it may be frowned upon in both social strata and that they should not care, of course. Actually, do you want to read this quote for us,
Yeah,
John?
man, G.K. Chesterton. This is what a great quote to provide here. He says is quoted as saying, to have a horror of tobacco is not to have an abstract standard of right, but exactly the opposite. It is to have no standard of right whatsoever, and to take certain local likes and dislikes as a substitute. Nobody who has an abstract standard of right and wrong can possibly think it wrong to smoke a pipe or cigar. American culture has a vague, sentimental notion that certain habits were not suitable to the old log cabin or the old hometown. It has a vague utilitarian notion that certain habits are not directly useful in the amalgamated stores or the new financial gambling hell. If his aged mother or economic master dislikes to see a young man hanging out with a pipe in his mouth, the action becomes a sin. Or nearest that such a moral philosophy can come to the idea of a sin. A man does not chop wood for the long hut by smoking, and a man does not make dividends for the big boss by smoking. Therefore, smoking has a smell of something as of something sinful, and that's from G.K. Chesterton.
Isn't that interesting?
That's really yeah. I mean that there's a lot of that's very wordy quote, and yeah.
Well, it's Chesterton.
It's Chesterton. We were talking about something that
Right.
was a long time ago, but golly, there's a lot of truth to unpack there. Yeah, I really like that.
It's despite the fact that these two archetypes exist in perhaps different economic worlds based on what's kind of painted here by Chesterton, they both kind of face the Sumtown nose turning up to and the stigma that may exist prevalently within those groups. And I thought it was a good get on Dylan's part finding such a quote that deals in with both of these archetypes in such a way.
Yeah.
And then all right, so for kind of some final thoughts.
I love this.
Yeah, this is kind of like a bunch of different questions that were brought up for well, all right, so this comes from David Soretti, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly.
Surrett or Soretti.
All right.
Yeah.
And
we love David regardless.
now this is one of these thoughts that, like, you can tell he's thinking as he's writing. And he asks a lot of questions as he's kind of working out his thoughts and that sort of thing. I thought it was like the perfect way to kind of wrap up this discussion.
Kind of wrap this up.
What did David have to say?
This is awesome. He says, I'm curious about the shift in preferential pipe shapes over time. I've always been told and read that in the 19th and early 20th century, bent pipes were preferred by lower class smokers and manual laborers due to the hands free clenchability. And then straight pipes were preferred by those white collared and upper class smokers. But then it seems that we began to see a shift mid century, with bent pipes becoming more expensive and artistic, and straight billiards becoming a working man's utility pipe. I'm curious to know what spurred this change. Could it have been that manufacturing techniques drove down the cost of straight pipes? Perhaps it was other art and fashion trends. Even today, I would say that when you look at higher end pipes, we see more swooping curves and bent stems, and less expensive factory pipes in the form of straight billiards and apples. Is what we see a shift in aesthetics only, or are our behaviors and smoking rituals changing? What an interesting question. I mean, what interesting thoughts there. I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
this
yeah.
every day, and it's something that if you look at all those wonderful pictures of everything from professors to pastors to congressmen back from the mid-century, they were all smoking straight pipes. It was just whole boardrooms full of straight pipes, and today if you pick out a photo of people, or gosh, even walk into a pipe shop full of pipe smokers, 8 out of 10 folks are going to be smoking a bent pipe, not a straight
Hmm.
pipe. And so
Hmm.
what has happened there? Something's there, right? The artisanship has moved towards the bent pipe. The desirability. When I order pipes, even for our inventory here at the Country Squire, it's every 8 out of 10 pipes we have to order are bent, because I know if I order a straight pipe, even though it's my preferred pipe, it's going to sit on the shelf. So
Well,
what is it about that?
it's almost like, you think about kind of who these archetypes have been over the years, and one might have a concern that's more about function, the other might have more of a concern about form. And we live in a day and an age where function and form, while they do still play a part, it does seem that form has it has won the day for our modern era, right? And it's really more about the style and less about the function. Although, as we've discussed several times over,
Yeah.
function is quite important in that. It's just more specialized function as opposed to, on a day-to-day type of
Yeah,
basis.
what's that about? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, great thoughts. And by the
Really
way,
good thoughts.
great thoughts to everybody. And honestly, we got so much feedback in. I was a little nervous actually going into these particular archetypes, because I was kind of thinking like, man, these archetypes came from the original discussion, and I was like, man, I've got some general thoughts, but I really am curious to see what you guys have. And man, y'all really did bring in some
Came through in spades.
big
Yep.
time stuff with
Yep.
emails, with Facebook. By the way, and we've mentioned it already throughout the discussion, but big shout out to the folks at the Reddit community at reddit.com/r/pipe tobacco. Great community over there. Have always played a huge part in the pipe culture discussions. It's one of the reasons I've
Good friends of the show.
absolutely
Yeah.
good friends of the show, and I always love discussing pipe culture, because I know it's a great opportunity to give them a shout out as they help us out. But I think one of the things that we've learned, man, this episode is no matter if you are in the high rise office of Fifth Avenue, or if you are on the apple farm in Middle America, you are enjoying your pipe. And what better way to enjoy your pipe than making sure you got a good quality pipe at any price, at a very affordable price. And of course, I'm talking about the great pipes available at Missouri Meerschaum.
That's exactly right. We're talking tonight about the Diplomat pipe.
Oh, the Diplomat pipe.
It is an excellent pipe, and so this is someone that could be enjoyed, a pipe that could be enjoyed by both the Aristocrat and the Farmer.
Oh,
We do have the Fifth Avenue Diplomat. This is just a beautiful billiard. It's a generous size, kind of deep bowl with a normal size drilling, but the bowl is really nice and deep, so you can fit a lot of tobacco in there. Comes in a bent and a straight variety. I love these pipes because the Diplomats tend to be that their stems are a little more decorative than a lot of other Missouri Meerschaum pipes, and so they just put a little more elegance with the little adornment there on the end of the stem. So really nice pipe. These pipes also have the ability to take the filters, which is good. Some people enjoy having those. We've got the Fifth Avenue here, which has more of a that billiard shape, and then of course the apple. We go from the downtown to the apple farm.
to the apple farm.
And so, the apple, obviously an incredibly popular shape over time. This pipe is not quite as deep, but does have the same width bowl. Just a really really handy pipe. Feels good in your hand. It's one of those that is a good everyday pipe, and also very light for its size. So anyway, just the diplomat from Missouri Meerschaum. We love them, sell a bunch of them, support them, and hope you love them too. And if you're smoking one, we'd love you to tweet in a photo, and we'd love to retweet that sometime during this week.
Yeah, get those selfies in. Big ups to Missouri Meerschaum for sponsoring this show. Pipe question of the week this week comes in from listener Ryan Smith, who asks, he's actually out in LA. He says, although I think that's actually Louisiana, LA, not LA, Los Angeles.
It is, yeah.
Down in the southern LA.
There's 3 LAs, right?
There's Los Angeles, there's Louisiana,
and there's Lower Alabama. I'm telling you, it's a thing, man. Ask someone from like Mobile, where you're from. They're like, oh, I'm from LA. From Lower Alabama.
Yeah, I think that's what the Florida Panhandle considers itself. Too. All right, man. So this is the question.
We just lost all our. I love how we just offend these whole swaths of like.
How did we offend anybody?
You just called Florida part of Alabama.
I would think
there's riots going on right now in Pensacola.
Alabama could be just as offended by that as
no.
Florida
You're right.
could.
You're right.
So you're right. I guess we did. It was universally we offended everybody.
Everybody.
Except for all of our California friends who are like, yeah, we don't care.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right,
They're like, what's Alabama?
Right. Wow.
Or what? Yeah. Actually, the California folks, they actually have to have an interpreter to listen to Country Squire radio.
We should
because
do
they don't,
California
because
episode.
they don't understand anything that we're saying right now.
What are you talking about? We could do California Country Squire radio. It would be insane, man.
Tubular.
We could do it. Now we've offended the Californians. Now we've offended all the LAs. Hopefully Ryan's still listening because this is his great question this week.
Let's read the question before we we're trying really hard to keep it between the ditches tonight.
There you go. All right. He says, when people say a blend is burley based, I figure there are large variations in what their flavors can be. Some burley based blends are cigarette like. High in nicotine and a bit harsh smoke for me, but some are mild and nutty and have that awesome codger-like quality. I tend to prefer the latter. Is it a specific type of burley that I should be looking for, or are the condiment tobaccos more to blame for the large variations? He says, P.S. Looking forward to meeting you guys when the NOLA Pipe Club comes up and invades the Squire in February. Thanks for the show and keep up the good work. Again, that is Ryan from Louisiana.
Dude, that's so great. Ryan, thank you for even in spite of our ridiculousness tonight. Thank you for this question. What a great question. And by the way, the New Orleans Pipe Club is actually making a field trip up to the Country Squire. It's going to be on February 24th, and we're looking forward to hosting them. We have so many just very, very dear friends down there. And we'll look forward to seeing them. But yeah, so these burleys, right? They're so varied. Oh, this blend has burley in it, and this one tastes real smooth and silky and has some nutty naturally sweet flavors. And then this one over here, this burley, it tastes like I just lit a piece of cardboard on fire, right? You've got this kind of variance, and so what's the difference? Well, yeah, not all burley is created equal. On one end, we've got this kind of air cured burley. It's softer, very nutty. It's one of those tobaccos that even though they generally do have more nicotine, it's a smoother smoke. It's not something that has as much of a punch to it. And then you've got these burleys that are toasted or fire cured. And these smoke particles have infuse themselves on these tobacco leaves. And so they're generally going to be a little more harsh, smoky, toasty flavors that are there. And so, again, I've said so much on this show, and I feel like, at some point you become a broken record, but burley is lurking everywhere. It's everywhere. And like a lot of tobacconists or a lot of folks on the other side of the counter that, they don't realize just kind of where, you see these blends and you're like, oh, it's an English blend or oh, it's a Virginia blend, that a lot of times, unless it just says pure, there's burley in there somewhere. I mean, burleys are just everywhere. It's the tobacconist's best friend because it's this chameleon, right? It takes on the flavor of the tobaccos around it. It's really good at aging. It adds nice body and a nice what we call mouth feel. That those thick clouds of voluminous smoke. You see a lot of that in burley. Typically, it does have more nicotine, but if cut with certain things, that can be kind of negated or enhanced. either way. And so you have these variances. Burley, not all Burleys are created equal. And so you just kind of have to go into it from that standpoint. I wish I'd pulled these out tonight in preparation for tonight's show. We use one Burley that's an air cured Burley, super soft, real silky. It has a natural, almost cane sugar taste, even though it's not topped or cased at all. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have this toasted Burley that's just gnarly. It's got, it's one of those that if you don't smoke slowly, it'll bite you a little bit. But it's also just got a great flavor, just that warm, toasty, oaky flavor that sometimes you just crave. And when you mix with these with different components, they're fantastic. So I always I bristle a little bit. Folks will look at our tobaccos. They'll come in the Country Squire. They'll look at these jars behind me. And they'll say, "Oh, what's in that tobacco?" And then I'll tell them, "Oh, well, it's Virginia, Burley, and Latakia," and they'll
and none of your business,
and then none of your business. And if I told you, I'd have to kill you, right?
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So anyway, don't look in the recipe book, but
right.
yeah. But as soon as I say the word Burley, people are like, "Oh, well, I know I won't like that." Well, and so I bristle at that a little bit, and then I have to start asking these questions, right? So, okay, well, what do you think Burley is? What do you not like about it? Where, kind of where are you getting that concept from? Maybe Burleys are not for you, or maybe just certain Burleys aren't. And so anyway, I think it's just a broad spectrum. Those toasted Burleys, obviously Kentucky fire cured stuff. I mean, that's just those are going to have a strength to them that not all Burleys do. Typically, they're all going to have high nicotine content, but when blended in certain ways and with certain different other tobaccos, they can be that part can be negated, and it can be really nice, mild component in a blend. So anyway, great question. I just think it's going to be a case by case basis.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, yeah, just like I said, the great question again that was sent in from Ryan Smith. And hey, if you've got a pipe question of the week, you can send it in to us. You can send it in show@countrysquireradio.com. That's show@countrysquireradio.com. All right, man. Quick fire question. Oh!
Ow!
All right. The California quick fire. No, we're not going to do that. This comes in from the, of course, this is,
we've man, I've never even been to California. California way. That's like out west where the gold was.
I think my California accent was pretty solid. I'm going to let our LA listeners chime in on that. I'm hoping to hear some.
Oh, California way.
All right. Quick fire questions, of course, are brought to us by the Tin Society. The Tin Society, an amazing service that you'll hear more about in just a minute here.
Yes, sir.
These are actually written in and sent in by Mike Kinsey. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
All right. And he admits that some of these are based off of a shared generation here. Transformers or G.I. Joe?
Transformers.
Transformers all the way.
Yeah.
But G.I. Joe does that. G.I. Joe.
Yeah. I was about to say, is G.I. Joe maybe more iconic, but I don't know. I think Transformers.
Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
I can name.
I just remember owning when I was a little kid, having those little cars that turned into little walking things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Transformers.
I would imagine that if you were to walk up to somebody on the street and ask them name 3 Transformers and 3 G.I. Joes, that they could probably name at least more Transformers by name than G.I. Joes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Is there more than one G.I. Joe? See, I don't even know.
Yeah, Transformers all the way. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
Okay, what's that one Nirvana song?
Teen Spirit.
Yeah, is that's the one, right? Is that the one?
That's the one.
Okay. That's
I'm about to burst a blood vessel. That was just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nirvana.
I will go with Nirvana as well. Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th?
I actually don't know. I don't think I've seen either of those.
Okay, Friday the 13th, if I'm remembering correctly, is Jason, and Nightmare on Elm Street is Freddy.
Okay. So, well, let's go with Elm Street.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's Freddy.
Okay. Well, Freddy he had the messed up face, and he had kind of the Wolverine thing going, not straight up schnickety, but he had like the claws. Schnickety. You know about schnickety?
I don't.
Schnickety schnickety.
You have to tell me about it.
That's Wolverine whenever his claws come out to make schnick, and then it's like schnickety schnickety. That's a
Oh, okay. That's like you're giving it sound.
You're giving it get a little geek out.
Okay, that's good.
Whenever in the comics they go schnicked. Yeah, I'll go with Nightmare on Elm Street as well. And then probably the most important of all of these, boodles or more boodles?
Well, gosh, more boodles.
I mean,
more. Do I need?
It's not that I want less boodles.
I mean, it is boodles. I mean, I've got. Wait, what's podcast etiquette? Can I refill my glass on air?
No, that's fine.
Is that a thing?
No,
I'll wait till later.
All right,
I probably yeah.
we're at the very tail end of the show. At
this point, we're just trying to keep it keep it on the rails.
Keep it all together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with boodles. I have nothing wrong with the more boodles.
Oh yeah, I offered you some boodles actually before the show tonight. You turned me down.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm not offended. I just know some people can't handle it.
Whoa. I was just thinking that I did not want to waste your precious boodles. It would be lost to me. Is pearls before swine, my friend?
Well, I'm glad you know it, and I'm glad you know yourself.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying. But anyway, so of course, boodles for me, more boodles for you. And Mike Kinsey, great quick fire questions. And of course, this quick fire questions were brought to you by the Tin Society. Now, tinsociety.com is a place to go, and you're definitely going to want to check it out. This is an awesome service where you can actually get curated pipe tobacco sent to your home on a monthly basis. It's a great way to sample a lot of tins that you may not have otherwise picked up, or maybe you're a little nervous about really kind of extending your cellar. This way you get the opportunity to sample them, figure out, oh, I like this. Yeah, I am going to want to go pick up that 10 without picking up that 10, and then you hate the 10 and then you throw it away. And
that's the thing, tins are, if you're averaging between $10 and $25 per can of tobacco.
Well, if you average between 10 and 25, I think that's 17, but I can't do math off the top of my head.
Yeah, we've never been known for that.
Yeah. That's
but you think about how much it costs to buy 1 tin of tobacco. And you're taking a gamble, right? You don't know if you're going to enjoy it, but with the Tin Society, they give you the opportunity to sample just a host of tobaccos. You get 3 or 4 bowls worth per sample, which is enough generally to give you an idea if it's something you want to invest in, if it's something you want to add to your cellar. And so, just a great concept. Good people over at the Tin Society. You can check them out at tinsociety.com. When you sign up, use the code Squire, and you'll get 20% off your first month's service, which is just a great deal. And also, I believe there's a free Missouri Meerschaum involved.
That's
as well,
right.
Which is really good. So they were just excited to have the Tin Society on board. Really encourage y'all to go over there and let us know your experience with them, man. We know you. They would love to love to hear some feedback on what you're getting, what you're smoking, what you've tried that you enjoy, and all that. So.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you get to sample that high quality premium stuff like an Aristocrat, but not but hang on to your ducats a little bit more like the old farmer.
Like the old farmer.
Yeah. Yeah. A little more conservative with your money.
Yeah, it was good.
There you go.
It was good, Beau.
Tinsociety.com or tinsociety.com. All right, listener feedback. All right, so we got a great iTunes review. This comes in from Shadow Master Man on iTunes. He says, "Where to begin? First and foremost, if you're a pipe smoker, you need this podcast in your life. John David is not only an encouragement as a person, but a true master in the field, tobacco. I have learned an incredible amount from him and truly developed a love of the pipe as a result. Beau is an incredible host who puts on a high-quality show time and time again. The sound quality is flawless and the content equally so. You will not be disappointed subscribing to the show. I've been binging every episode since discovering them in Afghanistan and will continue to be an avid listener. John David and Beau, thank y'all so much for your hard work that you do, and I think I can speak for the entire community when I say you are truly appreciated. Thanks, and gig 'em."
Do you know what gig 'em means?
I don't know what gig 'em means.
I knew you wouldn't know.
Is it like gun style?
Shadow. Shadow. I hope that never happens again on the show.
They're gonna turn it into a meme. That's the live audience.
Probably will. Shadow Master Man is a Texas A&M Aggie fan.
Oh,
and gig 'em. I don't know the origin of the word gig 'em, but that is one of their phrases. And gigging, of course, that's how you go frog hunting. You take your gig, your little spear thing, and you go in the pond and you actually hunt frogs by gigging them. And I don't know how that's
associated. Have you ever hunted frogs?
Of course not.
Okay,
but but there's a there's some kind of tie there with Texas A&M, and of course he is a proud Aggie. So that's great.
All right. Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Dude,
All right.
thanks for the feedback. Awesome.
Love the feedback. Don't want to insult your alma mater or the frog hunting folks that go there. So
yeah, you just don't know what gigging means.
I just didn't know what gigging was.
Or gigging is. Yeah.
Or gigging.
More
Giggity.
hey, you do know what giggity is.
I do know what giggity
right. Our friend C Duomo on Twitter, a good friend of the show, he says, granted, as the grandson of French immigrants, my perspective may be different, but if you're going to smoke, it was a briar, whether you were a nobleman, a farmer, or as my family was, butchers. The briar pipe, invented in France, let's not forget, they're in St. Claude, was an equalizer. He says, alternatively, when you talk about an old serviceman, they'll talk about encountering meerschaum pipes, which many people considered fairly aristocratic. On their travels, seeing them as cheap, poor men's pipes that could be picked up for pennies and not worth their time. It's so interesting. I think Chris is onto something there. I have got some of our most avid meerschaum smokers here at the Country Squire that they buy. These are people that buy nothing but meerschaums.
Right.
They're Navy guys or they're military guys that spent time overseas, particularly in the Middle East, maybe Egypt or Turkey or Greece,
prevalent,
and that's where meerschaums. That's their home base, man. And so you've got these guys that they go overseas. They're picking up these hand carved meerschaums in the market for a nickel, and they come home with this incredible collection, and that's what they're spoiled on these meerschaums. And so it's just fascinating. I can count. Gosh, at least 5 people come to mind that that they're meerschaum smokers because of their time in the military. So I don't know, just something worth unpacking.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, hey, we love this feedback, and be sure if you've got some listener feedback for us, send it in. We love getting those emails in, especially love those iTunes reviews as well. If you've not done so already, head over to iTunes, write us a review. We love reading those on the show, and it's a great way to help support the show without having to spend a dime. That being said, if you are willing to spend a dime, we greatly appreciate it. Head over to patreon.com/Country Squire Radio to do so. You can become a member of the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club, and we would love to have you there. I know. For many of our new members, you're like, wait, where's that card? I thought this card was supposed to come in the email. I promise you, it's coming. It's coming. I promise. This week. I said it last week, but this week I mean it. It was a rough week last week.
No, that's are you covenanting with people?
Yeah, I don't want to use
that. Might be too strong.
That's too strong of a term,
right?
I'm gonna really try,
but it's happening. It's gonna happen.
But I will tell you this: I'm gonna give it a good scrub tomorrow to make sure that those of you who are waiting in the wings to join the Facebook, we've got the Squire Lounge on live for our club members specifically.
That's right, really active group. We're very thankful for.
And so if you've requested entry and you are a club member, I'll be going through to confirm that is the case and getting you in the door sooner rather than later. Probably that'll be done before this episode actually hits the podcast. So that's for those of you tuning in. Also, we want to encourage those of you to tune in. If you'd like to join us for a live show, we'd absolutely love to have you. You can join us on Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. You can find us at countrysquireradio.com. We'd love to have you for the show where you can engage with the Twitter. You can also, by the way, keep up with us on the Twitter throughout the week. You can follow me. I'm at the real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at _Country Squire.
And of course, the show's Twitter handle as well is at Squire Radio. But all that information and more can be found at countrysquireradio.com. Man, wow, this is a lot of fun.
I had fun tonight. Yeah, these are some of my favorite episodes where frankly it's Country Squire Radio community centric, right? We
big time.
We turn to you guys for your thoughts and frankly would love more of that. I mean, we love getting you guys involved and man, it's just it's a lot of fun to see your perspective. If you're got something that is complimentary, or if it's a critique of what we do. Gosh, I mean, just all over the map. We eat the stuff up.
I will say this: we get a lot of emails in with kind of suggestions. Oh, hey, you guys consider doing an episode on this. And by the way, we see all that. We've got a Google Doc where we kind of store all that information and kind of go to that well. But it would be nice just to add maybe a new series at some point. Along with pipe culture, that can also be a series that really does kind of open up the
pass the mic around.
More community involvement. So I tell you what, maybe the best way to do that is to kind of pitch it to y'all. What would be another great series for this kind of opportunity.
Engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opportunity for you to give your thoughts.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. So let us know. We'd
Yep.
love to hear that. Well, hey man, let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
Bye guys.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. We had fun tonight. It's always good to see you.
Well, we can't see them.
It's always good for us to know that
see
for us
us.
to know that you're there. It's have a good week.
There's always something there to remind me. But down, jitterbug.